Hi everyone, it's Lauren from Love Renovate here. I hope you've had a lovely week so far. Thank you for watching our videos. We hope you found the content useful. If there's anything else you'd like to see me cover, then please do email me, lauren@loverenovate.co.uk. Today I'm going to be sharing my tips for a successful planning application. Now this is part of the process. It can feel quite daunting. If you've not been through the process before, it can feel quite overwhelming. It's quite a large chunk of time where you're kind of sitting waiting to carry on with your actual renovation. So the planning application process should take about 8 to 10 weeks. It can take up to about 13 weeks, but your planning officer should let you know about this if it's going to take a bit longer. So my first tip for a smooth planning application is to seek pre-application advice from your local authority. Now, most of them should offer this service, some don't, but most of the local planning departments should offer this. This is really an informal service where you will share with them your designs, your plans, and they will give you some feedback, some of the things that they'll be looking at during the planning application. It may be, for example, they think your extension is too high, say 6 metres, they would want to take it to 5, that kind of thing. They might be too overbearing on your neighbours. They might think the brickwork should be more in keeping with your house. So they will give you some recommendations, some of the things that they'll be looking at. And you can work with your architect and modify your plans before you actually go ahead with the planning application. So this can be really invaluable and also gets you to know your local planning department and kind of get a feel for what they'd be looking for. It's worth bearing in mind that this is informal. So it could be that you make changes to your plans, but when you come to the actual planning application, there's still some other issues. So there will be things that pop up that didn't come up in that initial conversation, but it can be really useful insight. Second piece of advice is to work well with your planning officer. Don't see them as the enemy. Listen to their feedback. If during the planning application process they're asking you to make some changes to your plans, if you can make these quickly, if they're asking for some supporting information, some documents, do try and give them everything as quickly as you can. If they're asking a lot of questions and ask you to modify things slightly, it's likely that they are looking to recommend approval to the planning committee. So you're probably really near approval. So just if you work with them well, listen to their feedback, and then modify your plans, and that will make the whole process run smoother. Third piece of advice is work with a local architect. If you work with somebody local, they'll work with your planning officer and planning department. They will know the kind of things that your specific local authority is looking for. For example, are they looking specifically at the impact your extension will have on wildlife? How it's going to impact your neighbours' privacy and light and that kind of thing. So they will know in your area what is it that they are particularly focused on. They'll also have likely worked on projects really similar to yours, so they'll know what gets approved. They know where they can push the design, that kind of thing, and they probably have a good rapport with the local authority, so it's good to work with somebody local. This leads quite nicely onto our fourth piece of advice, which is think about the design. Particularly if you're doing, like, say, a side extension that can be seen from the front, the planning officer is really going to be looking at what kind of impact is that going to have in your neighbourhood? Is it going to improve the look of your house, and is it going to fit in with everything else? You've got a bit more free rein in the design to the rear, but they're also going to be looking at how the design, is it going to be overshadowing your neighbours? Is it going to be too dominant? They're going to be looking at all those things. So really think about the design, how it complements your home, and does it actually improve your overall area? And a good architect will also help you steer in that. So the last piece of advice is working with your neighbours. So before you submit your plans to your planning application, it's a really good idea to sit down with your neighbours and take them through your plans. And that way you'll get a bit of feedback, you get a feel if they think they're fine, or if they've got any issues with them. Your neighbours' feedback, the planning officer only will take them into account if they come up with something valid. So it's not like, they don't like the designs of them. It's more if they think, again, it's going to impact their privacy, if it doesn't fit in with the local area, that kind of thing they're going to listen to. So it's really good to have your neighbours inside and listen to their feedback before it goes via the council. And you can look, if you think it's relevant, you may want to change your plans with your architect at this stage. So there are our tips. Just to kind of recap, the first one is get pre-planning application advice. The second one, work well with your planning officer. The third one is get a local architect and somebody that knows your local authority really well. The fourth one is think about the design and how it's going to complement and enhance your home and area. And then the fifth one is work well with your neighbours and keep them in the loop of your plans before you go ahead with your planning application. I hope you found that useful. If you want to get any more ideas or advice, then head over to loverenovate.co.uk.